If you've seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, or if you've been on the internet in the past month, you probably know what a canon event is. Basically, it's an event that has to happen in every universe, otherwise the universe breaks. I thought it would be interesting to apply that concept to Five Nights at Freddy's, and the various timelines that exist in the franchise, specifically 3 of them. The games timeline, the OG novel timeline, and the Fazbear Frights timeline. Also, I should make this clear, I don't think Fazbear Frights takes place in the main games timeline, and I'm not including Tales from the Pizzaplex in this, since I personally think it takes place in the games timeline. If you don't agree with those 2 statements, then I don't know what to tell you. So now that I've scared away my viewers with that statement, let's begin. Before getting into the actual canon events, I want to start off with the almost canon events. Things that happen in 2 timelines, but not all 3. Starting off, the FNaF 6 fire. I really wish this was a canon event, since it's so cool. It obviously happens in the games and Fazbear Frights, but not in the OG novel trilogy, since Henry died way before the FNaF 6 fire would take place. Elizabeth's death. This could be a canon event. It happens very similarly in both the games and OG novel trilogy, but we don't actually have confirmation if it happens in the Fazbear Frights universe. I think it's very safe to say she did die in the Frights timeline, since A, the events of the Frights timeline are already very similar to the main game timeline, so I don't see why she wouldn't, and B, the FNaF 6 fire happened in Frights. So I think it's safe to say that Scrapbaby/Elizabeth was there, but with the existence of Eleanor, who knows? Michael working at a Freddy's. This doesn't happen in the OG trilogy, since Michael Afton just doesn't exist. And if you count You're the Band as non-canon to Frights, then I guess he only ends up working at Freddy's in the games timeline. And the movie. Wait, I should be counting the movie in here, shouldn't I? Because it's entirely separate from all of... Oh no. Hang on, how would that affect... Okay, once I'm done going through the list of canon events, I'll see if the movie applies to them. How did I not think of that? No. Well, my poor planning aside, let's get into the actual canon events. Starting off, this is the one I'm most confident is a canon event. William getting spring-locked and turned into Springtrap. This obviously happens in the games, the OG novel trilogy, and since both Ultimate Custom Night and the FNaF 6 fire happened in Frights, and, we see like a giant rabbit William Afton trash monster in the epilogues, then I think it's safe to say that William absolutely gets spring-locked in Fazbear Frights. Charlotte's death, but not possession of the puppet. She does die and possess the puppet in the games and Frights, but in the OG novel trilogy, she just dies. Susie dies, and some version of the MCI happens. In the games timeline, we see Susie in the Fruity Maze minigame, and in the Lorekeeper ending, in the OG novel trilogy, we actually get to see her, and one of the characters says, "That's Susie." And then in Fazbear Frights, we get an entire story devoted to her. And obviously, some version of the MCI happens in every timeline. In the games timeline, obviously that happens. The OG novel trilogy, once again, obviously it happens. We see them in the 4th closet. And in Fazbear Frights, well, I mean, if Susie's dead, then I think it's safe to say that other children went missing too. Freddy's gets shut down at least once. In the games timeline, Freddy's gets shut down like 17 times. In the OG trilogy, it gets shut down and a mall is built around it. And then in Fazbear Frights, there are like a bunch of stories where people visit abandoned Freddy's, with the first one coming to mind being the new kid. Circus Baby's Pizza World opens. I don't think it closing is a canon event though. In the games timeline, it opens and closes on the same day, okay, hang on. It doesn't technically open. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe we could change this to a branch of Fazbear Entertainment with Circus Baby as the star opens, because Pizza World technically doesn't open in the games timeline. But then in the OG novel trilogy, it is open. And then in Fazbear Frights, in Dance With Me, we get to see an actual successful Pizza World. William Afton burning in a fire. It happens twice in the games. It's how he dies in the OG novel trilogy. And then the FNaF 6 fire happened in Frights, so he was probably in there. And the final canon event, a police officer investigating Freddy's. In the OG novel trilogy, it's, I think, Officer Clay is his name. I could be wrong. In Fazbear Frights, it's Larson, I want to say. I kind of forgot about that. I really should have done more research before this. And then in the games timeline, in Security Breach, there's a duffel bag message from Vanessa saying that someone called the police to the Pizzaplex. So technically, a police officer did investigate Freddy's. Alright, now let's see how the movie messes this stuff up. So William getting spring-locked, I am very confident in saying that will happen. Probably at the end of the first movie. Charlotte's death? Yes. Yeah, oh yeah. She kind of has to die and possess the puppet, because otherwise the animatronics wouldn't be possessed by the kids, because she gave them life. Susie's death, yes. I mean, we see her, but we don't technically know if Susie's her name or not, but I'm pretty sure probably will be. Freddy's gets shut down at least once. Yep. William says the owner's not ready to let it go yet, but it says closed on the sign, so yeah. Circus Baby's Pizza World? Nope. At least not yet. Maybe if there's a sequel. William Afton burning in a fire? Well, I mean, once again, we'd probably see that in a sequel, like the third movie. And then a police officer showing up? Yep, that's Vanessa. She comes to the pizzeria to warn Mike about what's going on. Honestly, that's like the best connection to the movie. Well, I mean, that and the MCI. So by this new logic, only 5 out of 7 canon events are actually canon events and happen in the FNaF movie universe. And honestly, I can see that number increasing to 6. And maybe 7, depending on how crazy the movies get. Well, there you go. 5, probably 7 canon events throughout the FNaF multiverse. There are probably a few that I missed, but I'm happy with the list I came up with. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.